Wow, it's your Intellect once again. So today we are focusing on advanced level history, specifically questions related to sources. That is our section A, question number 1.
Munhu wese chinhu chekutanga chaunofana kuziva ndechekuti sources they are always on your number 1 pa section A pabepa renyu reAfrican ramunonyora. So this is our June 2023 question paper yatinoda kumbofamba naro this week. Tikuwirirana. Saka panapa pari kunzi despite its shortcomings. So statement rekuti despite its shortcomings kuti tine strengths. Tikuwirirana. Nekuti zvikanzi musikana uyu kunyangwa hake ari mutema but akanaka kureva kuti tatobvuma kuti musikana uyu akaita sei ndozvatirikutaura. Saka apa tatobvuma kuti masource oral tradition remains a key source in recovering pre-colonial Zimbabwe. How to get? Ndobva ndakuudza kuti hatikwanise isusu kunyora isei iyoyi. Apa zvandaita hangu language yangu yandingotaura kuti kungodzokorera zvinhu. Language yandiri kutaura apa ndeyekuti pre-colonial Zimbabwe ndochi ndoyatakati inonzi pre-illiterate societies. Ndo atakati anonzi futi ma-primitive societies. Ndo futi atakati anonzi past before before colonization. Taurirana ndoma sources acho kana kuti ma-early Iron Age societies ndo anoincluda zvinhu zvakaita sana ziwa, gokomere, ndo panopinda mapungubwe, ndo panopinda chichimwe vana tsindi, ndo panopinda futi Great Zimbabwe yakazvimirira. Saka kubva paGreat Zimbabwe tichidzoka kumashure even to the Sans people ndo anonzi ma-pre-colonial Zimbabwean states. Saka ukaona uchinyora isei yako iwewe yemasources kana kuti yemusection A yeZimsec usingape maexample yezvinhu izvi pama-evaluations hapana chauri kutaura. Unenge uchitonyora zvinhu zisirizvo. Tikunzwanana here? Saka tiri ipapo panapa question yedu tiri kubvuma. Saka tikuti the question demands candidates to agree on the fact that oral tradition is a major source which can be used to recover pre-colonial history. Full stop ipapo. However, on the other hand, good candidates cannot forget the fact that sources work hand in hand. By so doing, the impact of other sources is always comprehended. Ndonawiripo hapana patinonyora masources tisingashandise multidisciplinary approach. Tikuwirirana. Hapana patinonyora question yemasources tisingashandise multidisciplinary. Right. Saka in this case ndasarudza kubuditsa ma-strength oral tradition over ma-weaknesses of other sources. Tikuwirirana. Saka panapa tichataura tichiti isusu oral tradition can be referred as the major source of unlocking pre-colonial history. For instance, Oral tradition gives us actual names of the states that existed before colonization. For example, it talks about the states like Gokomere, Mapungubwe, and whatsoever. And it also reveals that after the decline of Great Zimbabwe, of Mapungubwe, there was the rise of Great Zimbabwe. How to get? This is oral tradition giving us actual names of states that existed. How to get? Sakatada wrote, according to Jane Beach, according to oral tradition, the downfall of Mapungubwe have contributed to the rise of Great Zimbabwe. Unlike archaeology, archaeology does not have that strength of showing us which state was existing before the rise of Great Zimbabwe. We do not have such sources to prove us using archaeological findings, having names and whatsoever. How to get? Archaeology hakuna izvozvo. In archaeological terms, artifacts cannot speak for themselves. So, oral traditions remains the key source. I used the multidisciplinary approach and I explained out why that oral tradition in terms of political means inotibuditsira state names ndazviprova ndashandisa multidisciplinary approach. Twira tobva ipapo touya panapa pama-names of the king. It is only oral tradition which proves and which entails us that the king at Great Zimbabwe was one of the most prominent king was Chibata Matosi. How to get? And he was the prominent king who have even entasked individuals to construct the Great Zimbabwe Wars. But if we can take note of written records, we can take note of archaeology, it does not entail us the name of the king who existed at Great Zimbabwe, because artifacts cannot speak for themselves. Twiran, Saka, oral tradition remains the major source. Toya panapa, the impact of the army. According to oral tradition, the rise of Great Zimbabwe in terms of its political arena was much more impacted by the fact that its army had the ability to conquer other neighboring societies such as Ziwa, Tsinde, and whatsoever, to an extent that by the growth of their army, they attracted many individuals who were now joining them for protection against my external forces. And this have improved the impact and the expansion of the state. This is oral tradition, no Buddhism. But in terms of written records, they does not have the impact of the army. Kuti army yaiva power rakaita sei, army Great Zimbabwe yairaida yaidi havanatsi kupa good expression yekuti in terms of political arena and whatsoever pa Great Zimbabwe paitwa ne army, especially even iyo archaeology haitozvishowe izvozvo. Taurira saka oral tradition remains okay. Touya panapa kuma-economic. Andika kuma-economic togona kutotaura kana nyaya yekuti nyaya yetrade. According to oral tradition, the members of Great Zimbabwe, they traded with the Swahili traders and the Mama Arabs and the Chinese. And this external trade have improved the wealth of the king, and it have even led to the development the wealthy class within the Great Zimbabwe state. According to oral tradition, this have made Great Zimbabwe to become one of the prominent states during this period. But if we can take note of my issues, akaita sana archaeology. Archaeology cannot prove kakuti which kind of people vaita trade chaiwo nevano Great Zimbabwe, because tinogona there was the found paiwanikwa like kana kuti artifacts kana kuti anenge abva tune dzimwe nyika, kana unogona kuona the spirits kana kuti doro renge kana kuti reri kuGermany, kana kuti maremains emabottles acho pamwe revanhu vekuGermany andika vane vamwa doro ipapo, kana kuti panowanikwa kana kuti maceramics anenge abva kana kuti ekuAsia ndizoka dzimwe nzvimbo dzakasiyana. Archaeology haizogone manje kuita separate kuti no, because we have found this artifact kana kuti bhodhoro riri kutaura kuti doro rakagadzirwa kuGermany kana kuti kuRussia, this Russian beer and whatsoever. hazvisi kureva kuti the Russians they were trading with always they were trading nevanhu veGreat Zimbabwe. Andika zvakutoda oral tradition inozopatsanura kuti no hatina history kana kuti yekuti Great Zimbabwe maRussians akamboya ikoko, but these individuals they were trading the Swahili traders. Andika anonoziva kuti vaitrada nemaswahili nemaarabs, but kwaiwanikwa machinese bowels. It does not necessarily mean that the Chinese were available. Tikuirirane. Saka oral tradition ndio inenge yakutotipa hint yokuti no, there's no any history, there's no any European that has been witnessed before 1450 AD to have kuti anga vavachi kuGreat Zimbabwe. Tukaenda kuarchaeology vanenge vachiargua achiti no, pamwe kwakauya maphoenicians, pamwe kwakazoya vanhu vakati, kwakufungidzira noti havana actual detailed history sezvinoitika kuoral tradition. Tikuirirana. Then toya panapa ukada kutsvaga kana nyaya yehunting. Hunting was a means of, it was sort of a means of sport. According, it was a sport raitoitwa, though it was used to extract meat, ivory and whatsoever they used. But it was a major impact which was mostly done by men. Great Zimbabwe state. Saka zvakazoita sana written records zvinozongoya zvangoexplaina maybe hunting was only done in order to extract ivory, of which hazvisirizvo manje. According to archaeology zvinonzi they wanted to extract ivory so that they could establish international trade. Yet no, in African societies hunting was a sport. Ndoraitowa sport rawo, it was sort of chinhu chaitongonzi izvi zvinhu zvinotongoitwa vanhu vachifara vachitandara vachitsvagawo usavi. Zvekutozotowana ivory zvakazouyawo, but it does not mean kuti asi according to written records zvinoita sekunge hunting chete yaitwa iri yeivory. Umbona, saka apa oral tradition inenge yakutibatsira kunatsokwenenzvera kuti hunting yaitirwei zvichiitirwa sei. Tikubatana. Then ukauya kusocial kuno tine nyaya dzekuti there was division of labor in Great Zimbabwe, whereby tanga tine the tasks that were done by women and other tasks they were done by males. There was social division of labor. So inonzi division of labor yanga iripo. Why? Because there were tasks kinds of, for example, men ndovaita rearing cattle, hunting, mining and whatsoever, whilst women were women were child bearers nema crop cultivators. Oral tradition inoita se inozvibuditsa. Archaeology, as they find artifacts, they found clay pots, they found gold, they found hunting tools. They cannot differentiate how these tools were being used. So oral tradition remains the key of unlocking zvaiitwa kuma pre-colonial societies. Tukuirira ndo patiri kuda oral tradition noti ndo inotipatsanurira kuti ndo maitirwa zvaita sei azvaitwa. Then wauya panapa panyaya yetotemism, in terms of social status of the African people, especially at Great Zimbabwe, these people they were known as the Hungwe totem. That's why they've soapstone beds, and this issue of totemism was used to identify individuals in the society. And by the time when Great Zimbabwe rose, the Hungwe totem don't have any major impact other than any other. Saka takubuditsa impact ya inenge ine nyaya yematotemism in terms of lineage, in terms of worship. Ubabada. Then archaeology haikwanisa kutibuditsira kuti kwaiva nevanhu vane mutupo yakati. Written records havazive nezvazvo because the Portuguese, they were not well versed with the African culture, with the African identity, with the African religion. Tuirira, so ndo ma-issues acho ayo. Then tobva ipapo, tobva taenda pama-issue yemwari cult. It is oral tradition which depicts that the Mwari cult originated at Great Zimbabwe. This way. And it was where they said the voice of Mwari was heard in the cave, in which the great enclosure and the conical tower was constructed. It was because there was the voice of Mwari in which these individuals they were following. But But written records, it only said these people, they worship God through spirit mediums. But they did not know actually where and how does the Mwari cult originated. Tukurira. Saka ndomusiyano wazve zvichizoita ipapo. Saka tikuti by the time you give the strength of oral tradition, you are now giving the weaknesses of other sources. Always panonyorwa question yemasource. Then ukauya kunoku kuma weaknesses, takubuditsa ma weaknesses oral tradition. Takuti despite the fact that oral tradition remains the key, but we can also talk of its shortcomings. For example, oral tradition does not give events in their chronological order. Oral tradition does not give events in their chronological order. That's when we apply written records, because events are exercised in chronological order. For example, written records says when the Makungubwe declined, there was the rise of Great Zimbabwe. And this happened between 13th to 14th century according to DNB. Tabuditsa strength. Furthermore, oral tradition, it is affected with the memory lapse. That's when we use archaeology. For example, according to archaeological findings, Great Zimbabwe was constructed between 11th to 14th century. So, the artifacts that were found, they were used to depict actual dates, unlike in oral tradition. Because of memory lapse, individuals cannot actually remember the actual dates. That's when we apply the use of archaeology. By papo, oral tradition can be affected with the exaggeration, whereby individuals, they can exaggerate about certain events which have taken place. For example, it is written records which gives us the issue that there was succession disputes between Nyatsimba Mutota and other individuals within the state, which led Nyatsimba Mutota to migrate from Great Zimbabwe to Dandere. But according kune ukada kuzotsvaga kuti oral tradition haizonatsoupajekesa kuti vanhu vanga vanetsana. It seems as if when Nyatsimba Mutota became ambitious, he wanted to establish his state for his own people, but actually he was defeated and he ran away. Ndozvakaitika but havazvitaure pajekerero kuti Nyatsimba Mutota akadhifitwa but rega nditiza vanhu vake bva vamuteera. Ivo vanoita sekuti akabva angosarudza, asi hazvisi zvakaita sei zvakaitika. So ndonhau dzacho dzatichiexplaina kubuditsa pane mastrength nepane mashortcomings. Ndo manyorero anoitwa always. Anoona kuti patatanga neoral tradition, pane musi watichatangawo nearchaeology, pane musi watichatangawo newritten records, but munyorero haufe wakasiyana. Taurira, this was just an example yandangoti ndingopa. Any question?